Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below this video, your purchase and pricing email question line for inquiring about this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing an absolute horological giant, a 2016 variant of a watch launched in 2015. This is the 44mm white gold MB&F Legacy Machine Perpetual gray dial. The timepiece, created in conjunction with Irish watchmaker Stephen McDonnell, is the most complicated ever MB&F wristwatch. 44 millimeters in diameter, it measures 17.7 millimeters thick, though a lot of that is the dramatically domed sapphire rather than the case. It's 50.2 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and it has a spacing of 24 millimeters between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it's actually a pretty good match. I would say don't wear it on a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference, but if your wrist is similar to mine in size and shape, you're going to find that it does wear quite well for its size. The timepiece has a little bit of a camber or arc to the tips of its lugs that mean it sits a little bit more securely than if it were just broad and flat across the wrist. And surprise, surprise, because it is so dramatically domed and sloped, it will slide beneath the tips, at least, of most formal cuffs. Now, taking a quick look at the hardware and the software, you can see that the strap itself is large rectangular scale alligator leather in gray with a semi-gloss finish, a monotone stitch, very thick, with a sheer side that shows you the layers of leather, and a curved spring bar that allows the lugs to be drilled close to the case with no impediment to the motion of the strap, so it'll pull down around a small wrist. On the other side, you can see it is made by Camille Fournet of France for MB&F. Camille Fournet makes the OEM straps for many high-end brands such as Jaeger-LeCoultre. MB&F is always honest about the friends. That's the friend part of the M and the B. Max Busser and friends. Camille Fournet is the friend who created the strap, and every collaborator on these watches gets credited. That's why the strap manufacturer's name is on the bottom of this one. Taking a quick look, you can see we have a titanium leaf spring inside a titanium and white gold double deployment clasp. This is made by G&F Chatelain, which is a bracelet case and clasp specialist, and you can see the MB&F double-sided battle axe logo on the buckle. Turn it around, you can see the same logo on the crown. The case itself is large and gorgeous. The idea behind the Legacy Machine, starting with the original Legacy Machine, was that it was a vision of what an MB&F wristwatch would have looked like had Max Busser himself been born in 1867 rather than 1967. So there is a baked-in sort of steampunk-era nostalgia to both the shape of the case, which evokes pocket watches, and the movement itself, which is designed to, once again, be reminiscent of timepieces from before the era of the wristwatch. On the dial side, you can see why this 581-piece movement is the most complicated ever in an MB&F wristwatch. There is a ton going on, so let's try to make some sense of the architectural work from the outside in. There are little pusher adjusters that can be used to adjust the calendar system. This is the leap year phase indication. This is the date. I can adjust the month, and I can adjust the day. These systems all get locked out during the danger zone, that time in the middle of the night when the calendar is turning itself over under its own power, so you can't accidentally damage it by attempting to set the calendar at the wrong time. That's a brilliant system. You can also see that the calendar is entirely integrated into the movement. It's not a module on top. Rather than use a grand levier, the system by which levers and wheels interact in a conventional perpetual calendar, there is actually a time processor, which is sort of like a mechanical computer that's based on a 28-day month. Because of this, you're able to couple everything rather close together and integrate everything in a single plane, rather than putting a perpetual calendar module on top of some sort of base movement. So you have these radial displays, you have a lacquered dial with blued hands, you have an enormous black polished double-anchored balance bridge that's free-sprung, full bridge and free-sprung for durability. The balance itself is about 14 millimeters across with recessed bolts. It is free-sprung. It has a handmade overcoil hairspring, and it beats away at 18,000 vibrations per hour, a nice vintage-inspired pocket watch-like cadence. You have that power reserve indicator for the twin mainspring barrels, the 72-hour power reserve, and the closer you look, the more you like, because the finishing here is true high horology. It would make Kari Voutilainen, Marco Lang and Philippe Dufour quite pleased. You could just see the grained gray base of the dial underneath all of the apparatus. There are many levers, many wheels, and many springs and many screws. All of them are achingly gorgeous in detail. Now the timepiece, as you can see, is 30 meters water resistant, so it is a dress watch. And on the reverse side, it's beautifully symmetrical with the twin mainspring barrels under their respective ratchet wheels, the crown wheel at center. All of the screw heads on both sides have been chamfered about their slots and circumference and black polished on their heads. You see satination on all the wheels, including solar graining on the ratchet wheels. Appreciate that the anglage is a mile wide and that here we have both sharp inward angles and sharp outward angles, difficult to apply, with a lovely luminous and broad set of Côte de Genève. A perpetual calendar, it can deal with irregular length months as well as leap years. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.